Hey everyone, it's Brandon Kniefel. So I got off of 4 of the gnarliest, most addictive, strongest psych meds out there. I did it all last year during the quarantine after being on these medications for 2 to 3 years. I knew for a long time that I had to get off of them, but I knew that the withdrawals for 2 to 3 of them in particular were going to be really, really hard, and I was going to need a lot of time off. So why did I decide to get off all 4 all at once? So this concept of psych medication and just adding to my regimen by, mixing a cocktail of different types of medications was something that I had tried in my youth, and it failed me miserably. I was put on many medications when I was 11, 12, and to address some perceived OCD disorders. And what it did was it fucked up my life for 2 years, and even got me to the point where I was institutionalized in adolescent psych ward. As soon as I was taken out of that psych ward by my parents, they got me to see a naturopath, and I got on natural remedies and quit all those medications cold turkey. It was miraculous within 3 weeks of being, going from insane, not being able to sleep, gain weight, like just a rabid little child. I went to completely normal, well-functioning, very focused, very just well-adjusted based on during this period of doing natural remedies with a naturopath and a homeopath. Fast forward 30 years almost, no, like 25. I'm told by the people I work with, and I worked in a clinic, a behavioral health care clinic, that, I'm depressed, I should be on medication. And I was like, okay, I resisted it for a while, and then eventually I was like, fine. I got on medication, I tried all of them. All the ones you can think of for depression and anxiety, and I got on those. And it finally got to the point where there was 4 that I was on that kind of just stuck with me. Well, those 4 were actually quickly shrinking my life, making it really hard for me to have any nuance of emotion. And when I say nuance of emotion, I mean, I couldn't feel my gut saying, don't do that. I couldn't feel the slight irritation that you get when you shouldn't be around people or in a certain situation. I had no internal compass, and I was numb to a lot of things. So I wasn't being led by my own heart and my own gut and my own mind. I was being led by what society says you should do. And what pharmaceuticals a lot of times help us do, especially psychiatric pharmaceuticals, are shut down and show up. Just shut down and show up to your 9 to 5. Shut down and show up to your cubicle. Shut down and show up and do those things in life that society tells you is going to be great for you, but is not, and then it actually makes you small. And my life shrank tremendously. And I knew I had to get off those medications really quickly. Within a year, I was like, fuck, I am gonna have to get off these eventually. But 2 of them in particular, when you try to get off them, you go through severe withdrawal symptoms. One in particular affects her. I was on the highest dose, and I would get brain zaps and very, very strong waves of hysteria, and would just feel psycho, even by just dropping my dose. So I'm like, one day I missed a dose, and I woke up and I felt like I wanted to jump out of my skin. I was having brain zaps and I couldn't fucking function, and I just paced around my room for hours. I was so crazy. Not taking that medication should not do that to a body. What that tells me is that the medications supplanted all the actual, positive chemical reactions happening in my body and replace all the neurotransmitters that were functioning in my body and alter my hormones so that when I didn't have them, I had nothing. My brain wasn't working. It replaced all those natural functionings. And I knew that in order for me to be pharma free, I had to fucking go, like, get off of all those and go through those weeks of withdrawal. I went through weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of withdrawal. It was over 6.5, 7 months that I withdrawal from 4 medications. There was like weeks on end that I was like sleeping 16 hours a day, that I couldn't move, I couldn't work, I couldn't really function. I wasn't working out, I wasn't doing jack shit. I gained fucking 50 pounds in a year because of these medications. And that's 50 pounds of fat. That ain't 50 pounds of muscle. So like, when I got off of those, I was like, I need to show up. I need to show up in a different way in the world. And the reason I knew I need to get off of those is because it came to me that, oh my God, I wasn't depressed. I wasn't anxious. I was just not listening. I wasn't fucking listening to what my gut was saying because I could barely hear it because I was so fucking medicated. And I shouldn't have even started the medication, because what I should have done instead when I was feeling depressed and anxious and fearful, I should have been like, what is not working in my life? And I would have known right away that it was the job that I was in. But I was afraid to get that answer. And thus I went through 2 years of hell and eventually leaving that job anyways, just because I couldn't get to the point to answer that question or to even ask that question sooner. So I wasn't depressed. I wasn't anxious. I was convinced that I had this lifelong issue and that the only way to treat it was with medication. But really, I have had a lifelong relationship with deep intuition and knowing, and I've been in situations that I couldn't get myself out of, or situations that I was too afraid to get myself out of that would have left me feeling free and happy. So the lesson for me was just do what your gut is telling you to do. Take that leap of faith and move towards that thing that's going to bring you joy, even if that thing is going to bring you fear or anxiety temporarily, because that's what a leap of faith is. All right. I'm not saying don't take medication. Fuck it. Do whatever the fuck you want. What I'm saying is ask yourself the important questions before you decide that it's an intrinsic issue that you have within your body. All right.